everyone. My name is Hannah Holman. I'm a professional female cellist. I wanted to introduce you to some women cellists that I feel could use some more recognition. Today, we're going to be talking about British cellist Amaryllis Flemming. She is probably better known on the other side of the Atlantic, but I think that she's such a colorful figure that you're going to be happy to have learned about her. She was born December 10th in 1925. Amaryllis was the daughter of Eve Lacroix Flemming. Eve was a very upper crust society lady. She married Val Flemming, a very wealthy Scotsman. They had 4 sons, 2 of whom were very famous writers. One was Peter Flemming, and the other one, yes, Ian Flemming. She had these sons, and then her husband Val went off to fight in World War I. He died, and in the will, because he knew that his wife had social climbing ambitions, he put that she would be cut off from her inheritance if she ever remarried. Of course, that made her kind of upset. She had a few relationships. She met the British painter Augustus John. He was a bon vivant, and people say that he might have had as many as 100 illegitimate children, if that gives you any idea what a kind of guy he was. Eve wanted to capture him and wanted to have his child so that maybe he would marry her, but she knew what that entailed. She went off in 1925 on a very, very long cruise and came back with a little baby girl. She told everybody that this baby girl was adopted. It wasn't until Amaryllis was 23 and the rumors were going around college of who her parents were that she finally confronted her mom and dad and said, "Are you my parents?" And they finally confessed. So with all of that background, I think that really shaped her personality. She was a combination of rebellious and lonely, and she sought refuge in the cello and music. She started the cello when she was 9. Her mother had been a violinist and must have been a very good amateur violinist because her mother owned a Strad violin. She had a Ruggieri cello at the age of 14 and a Dodd bow. She went off to a girls' boarding school and went into London for lessons. Supposedly she would practice on the train. She would put food around her on the cabin of the train so that people would not bother her while she was practicing because it looked like she had thrown up. So she got to the Royal College of Music in London at the age of 18. And at the same time, she met cellist Pierre Fournier, a really prominent, amazing, gorgeous French cellist. She heard him play. She fell in love with his playing. Then she went on to study with him, and in fact, they ended up having a 10-year affair that started when she was 18. Her mother did not find out about this for quite some time, and when she did, she put one of her half-brothers onto Fournier, and I guess it scared something out of him, and that did temporarily stop the relationship. Amaryllis won every prize possible at the Royal College of Music. She had some amazing teachers. She also studied in Portugal with Madame Sugia, who we will also investigate in a later episode of Women Cellists. Sugia was quite a force and changed Amaryllis's bow hold and mostly messed with her bow a lot, I guess, and so Amaryllis kind of felt like she lost her voice. Fournier was kind of horrified when he heard her play again. She also studied a little bit with Casado, and at some point she went to Prague and studied with the great Pablo Casals. She was doing great. She won the Queen's Prize, which led her to do her Wigmore Hall debut. She also did her prom debut with the Elgar Cello Concerto. Seems like lots of our ladies like playing the Elgar Cello Concerto. She then went on to Munich and won the Munich competition. After winning all these prizes, she could have gone on to have a big solo career, and in fact she did, but she delayed it a little bit. The British cellist Joan Dixon introduced her to cello teacher Minardi, and she went to study with him, and he encouraged her to learn more about the physics of playing the cello by encouraging her to practice naked in the mirror. She was always into chamber music. She formed many trios, piano trios, string trios, and guitar trios. In fact, in her guitar trios, she played with Julian Bream and the guitarist John Williams. Right around the time of all of this, her brother, Ian Flemming, was starting to write the James Bond series, and you might recall the cello scene in the movie The Living Daylights. And in fact, in the original book, there's a direct quote about Amaryllis, and this again might be a little PG, but I'm going to read some of it, and then you can maybe go and investigate yourself. He says, this is Bond, "Why in the heck did she have to choose the cello?" Bond wonders. There was something almost indecent in the idea of that bulbous, ungainly instrument. Blank, blank, blank. Of course, Sujia had managed to look elegant. There's Sujia again. And so did that girl, Amaryllis somebody. But they should invent a way to play the beep thing side saddle. So there you go. And we talked about playing the cello side saddle. They actually did that. She, at this time, met an instrument dealer named E.M.W. Paul, and they became very good friends. She never married. She was supposedly very wild, flame-colored hair, femme fatale, so I'm sure, she had many relationships, but she never got married. But she became really dear friends with this instrument dealer named E.M.W. Paul, or he just became known as Paul. Paul convinced her to sell her Ruggieri cello and the Dodd bow. After selling the Ruggieri and the Dodd, she got a Guarneri cello, and then 2 years later, she got a Stradivarius cello made in 1717. And the Strad still bears her name, the Flemming Strad. Perhaps the most interesting thing that she's probably best known for is that with Paul's help, they found an Amati cello. She became very interested in studying the music of J.S. Bach, and she and Paul decided to string this Amati cello as a 5-string cello. And so she practiced a lot, and she actually recorded and performed a lot the Bach Sixth Suite as it was meant to be, played on a 5-string cello. And I think she was the first person to perform the Sixth Suite on a 5-string cello. She also was amongst the first person to play the Fifth Suite tuned down, where the A string is tuned to a G, again as Bach wrote it. I have read that the BBC has a recording of her playing all 6 suites, but if you look for her recordings, there actually aren't that many. There's a few of her playing trios, in guitar trios especially, but I think she was such a perfectionist that she really didn't like the recording studio, and she believed that music should be experienced live. So her Bach recordings have never been released, but maybe someday we will hear her Bach. She ended up teaching at the Royal College of Music, where she had once studied. Actually, the big concert hall there is named in her honor. It's called the Amaryllis Flemming Hall. She died July 27th, 1999, not that long ago. There's a little snapshot of our colorful British cellist Amaryllis Flemming. Check her out more by reading this great biography by Fergus Flemming about her and listening to some of her few recordings that exist.